त्यजन् कलेवरं योगी मुच्यते कामकर्मभिः भक्त्यावेश्य मनो यस्मिन् वाचायन्नाम कीर्तयन् त्यजन् कलेवरं योगी मुच्यते कामकर्मभिः।
भक्त्यावेश्य मनो यस्मिन् वाचायन्नाम कीर्तयन् त्यजन् कलेवरं योगी मुच्यते कामकर्मभिः भक्त्यावेश्य मनो यस्मिन् वाचायन्नाम कीर्तयन् त्यजन् कलेवरं योगी मुच्यते कामकर्मभिः।
Bhaktya, with devout attention, aveshya, meditating, manaha, mind, yasmin, in whose, vacha, by words, yat, Krishna, nama, holy name, kirtayan, by chanting, tyajan, quitting, kalevaram, this material body, yogi, the devotee, muchyate, gets release, kama karma bihi, from fruitive activities. Translation and purport by Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada. The personality of Godhead who appears in the mind of the devotee by attentive devotion and meditation and by chanting of the holy name releases the devotee from the bondage of fruitive activities at the time of his quitting the material body. Please repeat the translation. The personality of Godhead who appears in the mind of the devotee by attentive devotion and meditation and by chanting of the holy name releases the devotee from the bondage of fruitive activities at the time of his quitting the material body. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Yoga means concentration of the mind detached from all other subject matter. And actually such concentration is samadhi or 100% engagement in the service of the Lord. And one who concentrates his attention in that manner is called a yogi. Such a yogi, devotee of the Lord, engages himself 24 hours daily in the service of the Lord, so that his whole attention is engrossed with the thoughts of the Lord in ninefold devotional service, namely hearing, chanting, remembering, worshipping, praying, becoming a voluntary servant, carrying out the orders, establishing a friendly relationship, and offering all that one may possess in the service of the Lord. By such practice of yoga or linking up in the service of the Lord, one is recognized by the Lord himself, as it is explained in the Bhagavad Gita, concerning the highest perfectional stage of samadhi. The Lord calls such a rare devotee the best among all the yogas. Such a perfect yogi is enabled by the divine grace of the Lord to concentrate his mind upon the Lord with a perfect sense of consciousness, and thus by chanting his holy name before quitting the body, the yogi is at once transferred by the internal energy of the Lord to one of the eternal planets where there is no question of material life and its concomitant factors. In material existence, a living being has to endure the material conditions of threefold miseries, life after life, according to his fruitive work. Such material life is produced by material desires only. Devotion service to the Lord does not kill the natural desires of the living being, but they are applied in the right cause of devotional service. This qualifies the desire to be transferred to the spiritual sky. General Bhishma Deva is referring to a particular type of yoga called Bhakti Yoga, and he was fortunate enough to have the Lord directly in his presence before he quitted his material body. He therefore desired that the Lord stay before his view in the following verses. Doesn't see Bhakti Vedanta Parva. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuram Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktarunda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So here we understand Bhishma Deva glorifies Bhakti Yoga. In the last verse he was saying how Lord is inclined towards his unalloyed devotees. So in this verse he is mentioning the power of Bhakti Yoga, which can release a devotee when he is quitting his material body and take him to the spiritual world. That's what it is said. Bhaktya avesha mano yasmin. So when the mind is fully attentive and when it is in the meditation on whom? Yasmin, that Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vacha yannama kirtayan. And when one uses his words in glorifying or in chanting the holy names of the Lord. Tyajan kalevaram yogi. And when that yogi who has practiced these things, bhaktya aveshya kirtayan, he practices the three things. Tyajan kalevaram, when he quits his material body, muchyate kama karma bihi, he becomes free from all material perspectives or fruitive activities which he has accumulated over a period of many lifetimes. So he becomes completely freed from all material related aspects. So in the purport, Prabhupada is explaining about, it says, so first the translation says, the personality of Godhead who appears in the mind, yasmin manaha, of the devotee by attentive devotion and meditation, bhaktya avesha yogi, and by chanting of the holy names, vacha yannama kirtayan, releases the devotee from the bondage of fruitive activities. Muchyate kama karma bihi, at the time of his quitting the material body. Tyajan kalevaram. So Bhishma Deva, because he is going through the same situation. When he is about to quit the body, he is in the perfect devotional service. So he is thinking whatever anything false would have been happened, it will be cleansed off by engaging in Bhakti Yoga, because Lord is completely pure. And by being in touch with the Lord through Bhakti Yoga, we will also become completely pure. So in the purport, Prabhupada explains about the stage of Samadhi, the complete absorption onto the Supreme. In the Ashtanga Yoga system, the Samadhi is the ultimate stage, where one completely focuses upon the Lord without any deviation. 100% engagement in Lord's service by Navavida Bhakti offer full concentration of the mind detached from all other subject matters. Thus, he is the best of the yoga. So like Yoginam api sarvesham in the 6th chapter he said, the perfect yogi is one who is able to completely always think of the Lord without any other deviation. So that is like Samadhi state. And what is the fate of a devotee while leaving the body? One who has done in complete Samadhi state. Such a yogi is ultimately transferred to the eternal life, free from all fruitive activities and material existence. So he goes to the eternal spiritual world and he will be free from all material desires. Why? What is problem with material desires? Material existence full of threefold miseries is produced by material desires only. So if we desire something, we have to suffer for it. Suffer or enjoy, because both are material perspective, it will keep us entrapped in this material. Then how to purify by our desires? So Prabhupada is saying we have to dovetail our desires. It's not that we become void. Whatever desires are there, that inherent natural desires, it becomes dovetailed in the service of the Lord. Bhakti Yoga is an art of dovetailing one's natural desires in the service of the Lord. Thus one qualifies to be transferred to spiritual state. So whatever tendencies, whatever qualities we have, we just engage them in the service of the Lord and we dovetail our abilities. In that way we become purified. At the end we go back home, back to God. So in this verse, they primarily talks about the glories of Bhakti Yoga. So in 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, in certain section, Krishna glorifies Bhakti Yoga by 4 aspects. It is called as Setu. Setu means bridge. So, SETU, it is called as simple, eternal, transformational, universal. So, these are the 4 elements which Krishna speaks in 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So, what is simple? He said, one can worship the Lord in simple means. Patram pushpam phalam toyam. Everybody have these 4 things. Nobody is in the world is devoid of these 4 things. And what is required for me? Your love and affection. I want this. Patram pushpam phalam toyam. Yome bhaktya prayachati. By your love and devotion, if you offer me of these 4 categories, I simply accept that. So, simple worship, but with love and devotion. Next. Eternal. In 9.20, Krishna says, this material world is place of temporary nature. Simply we keep coming down from Abrahma Bhavana local. As we have good karma, we go to heavenly planets. When our karma is depleted, we come down to the material world. But once you worship me, he says you will come back to my eternal world. If you worship demigods, you will stay in the planet of demigods. If you worship me, you will come back to me. So, Krishna is saying, Ananya shintayanto mam yajana paryupasite tesham nityabhyuktanam yogakshemam vahamya. He says, he gives an assurance. Yogakshema. What does that yogakshema means? In this material world, whatever we have, Lord says, I will protect that. And whatever is required for you to engage in devotional service, I will provide to you. This is my eternal promise. Yogakshema. So, this is eternal. So that we are always in his devotional service. Next. Transformational. So, what is so special about this Bhakti Yoga? Krishna says, Apichet suduracharo bhajate mam ananyabha sadhureva samantavya samyak vyavashito hi saha. This Bhakti Yoga is so great, by chance if we get deviated and fall down accidentally by some old habits, Krishna says, I reform him and I protect him in his devotional service. See, this is not intentional mistake. This is accidental, unintentional mistakes if somebody does in Bhakti Yoga. Krishna says, he is not forsaken by me. I give him protection. And I teach him next time what not to do. This is something like many people, we do mistake. We go in front of the Lord. We say, oh my dear Lord, please forgive me. We will not repeat next time. The moment we come outside, we repeat the same mistake. This is intentional. But these are not intentional. This is accidental. And he has repented for his mistake, saying, my dear Lord, I will not repeat this one more time. Then Lord says, I will protect him. Kaunteya pratijanehi name bhakta pranashyati. He will not be lost. He will be protected by me. This is transformational. He transforms us by his association. The last one is universal. And this process, who is qualified to do this? Krishna says, Striyo Vaishyas Tata Shudras. Anybody can be engaged in this service. There is no limitation that only devotees have to engage in this devotion service. He says, women, Vaishyas, Shudras, even low-born categories are also eligible to engage in this Bhakti Yoga, not to speak of qualified devotees. So this process is universal. So that's why it is said as Setu. Simple, eternal, transformational, universal. So in that way, for us to go to the Supreme Lord and to connect us, the devotion is a bridge. Bhakti Yoga is a bridge for us to connect us to the Supreme Lord. Similarly, in Bhagavatam, in the 11th canto, we see there were King Nimi, when he approached Navayogendras. So he was also inquiring them about devotional perspective. So his inquiries are also in the same category. He says, Durlabha manusho deho. He is saying this human form is very rare. Durlabha manusho deho. Dehinam kshanabanguraha. This body, whatever we have, it is lost in a moment. Kshanabanguraha. Because how heart attacks come? In a second we come and we pass away. We are not assured when we will be alive, when we will be gone. So, Dehinam Kshanabanguraha Tatrapi Durlabam Manye Vaikunta Priyadarshanam. So, and the rarest of the rare thing, Tatrapi Durlabam Manye, I think which is the most rarest thing is Vaikunta Priyadarshanam, association of devotees of the Supreme Lord. So, first he is glorifying the Navayogendras. He is saying, see, the rarity of this human form is very understood. But the rarest for the human form opportunity is to associate with devotees like you. Then he says, Ata Atyantikam Kshemam Prachamo Bhavatanaga. Oh my dear sinless people, what is that Atyantikam Kshemam? What is that ultimate good for me? Prachamo Bhavataha, I am inquiring from you. Samsare Yasmin Kshanardopi Satsanga Sevadir Nunam. So, Satsangaha, association of a pure devotee, even for samsara yasmin, in this material world, Kshanardepi, even for half of a second, if I can get an association of a pure devotee, Sevadir Nunam is the greatest treasure for the human society. So, he is inquiring, in your association, I am putting forward this inquiry, what is the ultimate good for a living entity? Then, Dharman Bhagavatan Bruta Yadina Shruyate Kshmamam Yai Prasanna Prapannaya Dasyati Atmanam Api Ajaha. He is saying, Dharman Bhagavatan Bruta. Oh my dear sir, please speak about Bhakti Yoga, devotional service to the Supreme Lord. Dharman Bhagavata Dharma. Because Yadina Shruyate Kshamam, if you think I am capable to understand that. See, first thing is subject matter may be a PhD category. If I am an LKG student, if I go and ask him about a PhD question, I will not be able to understand. So he is saying, if you think I am qualified enough, please explain to me about this Bhakti Yoga. Because Yai Prasannaha Prapannaya, when a living entity, when he is engaging in devotional service, in his surrender mood, then when the Lord becomes satisfied by that process, Dashyati Atmanam Api Ajaha. He will return, he will give us his own self to the surrendered soul. So Lord becomes subservient to the devotee's devotion. So in that way, because devotion service is so great, Lord becomes devotee's subservient. So after understanding the question, now the Navayogendras, one is called as Kavi, he starts answering this perspective. He says, Kavi Ruvacha Manye Akutaschid Bayam Achutasya Padambuja Upasanam Atra Nityam Budvigna Buddher Asad Atma Bhavat Vishwatmana Yatra Nivartate Bihi. The first thing in this material world is everybody is fearful. Because fear is second personified. Because every moment we are always in anxiety, we don't know what will happen. So that is the fear is the personification. We are Bayam Dvitiya Vinivesha. So the living entity symptom in this material world is always in fear. Now how to become fearless? He says, Manye, I consider, Akutaschid Bayam Achyutasya. One can become fearless. Akutasya. Akutaschid Bayam Achyutasya Padamboja Upasanam. When you worship or accept shelter at the lotus feet of Lord Achyuta, you become fearless in this material world. Atra Nityam Udvigna Buddher. Because in this material world, Nityam Udvigna Buddheha, we are full of anxiety, full of fearfulness. Udvigna, mind is always disturbed, intelligence is always disturbed. It is always in a fearful situation. Asad Atma Bhavat, because we have accepted this material temporary body as ourself, we are always in anxiety. So, Vishwatmana Yat Nivartate Bihi. Because one who has taken shelter of that Vishwa Atmanaha, Yatra Nivartate Bihi, he becomes, there is no scope of fear there. Where there is light, is there any darkness there? So, where there is Supreme Lord, there is no fear there. Then further he says, Evai Bhagavata Prokta Upaya hi Atma Labdaye Anjaha Pumsam Avidusham Vidhi Bhagavatan Hitan. So, Anjaha Pumsam Avidusham. In this material world, every living entity is very ignorant. But he comes to know about the Supreme Lord, about by Upayahi Atma Labdaye, if they adopt the means as prescribed by the Supreme Lord. See, if I want to know about you, how can I know? When I talk to you only, when I get to close proximity with you. So, if you want to know about the Supreme Lord, when you access near him, then he will reveal about himself. This process, ye vai Bhagavata Prokta, and this process was prescribed by the Lord himself. And this process is called Vidhi Bhagavatan Hitan. And this process is the process prescribed by the Lord to know about him is this devotion service or through Srimad Bhagavata. Yan astaya naro rajan na pramadhyeta karhichit davan nimilya va netre na skale na pate diha. He says, O Rajan, my dear king, Yan astaya naro rajan, one who accepts this process of bhakti to the Supreme Lord, na pramadhyeta karhichit, he will never blunder on his path in this world. Dhavan nimilya va netre, even while he is running with his closed eyes, na skale na patetiha, he will never trip nor fall down in his path. So, means one who is engaged in bhakti does not mean that I will close my eyes and I will start running. For those who are completely absorbed in the faith of the Lord will protect him. Lord will give him guidance. The Lord will take care of his life. Because that's what Krishna promised. Kaunteya pratijanehi name bhakta pranashyati. My devotee is always taken care of. Kayena vacha manasaindriyerva buddhyatmana va anushruta swabhavat karoti yatyat sakalam parasmai narayana yeti samarpayet. So, anushruta swabhavat. Everybody we have their swabhava, that inherent nature within us, which is present. Kayena vacha manasendriyerva, with our kaya, sharira, vacha by our words, manasa by our mind, by our indriya, by our senses, buddhya atmanava, by our intelligence or by purified consciousness, tat karoti yat yat sakalam samarpayet. Whatever he has with his body, mind, words, intelligence and senses, he should use them to offer to the service of the Supreme Lord. Parasmai Narayana iti. Should offer everything for the service of the Narayana, thinking that this is for the pleasure of the Lord Narayana. So this is what the today's verse is also saying. By your mind, by your attention, by your bhakti, by your devotional service, by your words, you should glorify the Lord for his satisfaction. So this is what even the acharyas are also saying, confirming this. So similarly, in one more place, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has also projected the same point here about devotional service. Today is also occasion of Devanand Pandit, his disappearance day. So in his correction, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had made us to learn the importance of Bhagavatam and studying Bhagavatam. So this Devanand Pandit is born in a Brahmana family, but he had never any material inclinations. He had no desire for any material positions. He is completely pious and very simple personality. He is very, very exemplary in his regulative principles following. He is very austere, gentle and deeply learned in the scriptures also. And the only scripture he used to always discuss was only Srimad Bhagavatam. And because of his austerity, simplicity and perfect mannerisms, his erudite scholarships, many people were coming and taking shelter at him. They are trying to learn Bhagavatam from him. One day when he was speaking Bhagavatam, in that assembly, Srivas Pandit was passing by that area. When he heard the Bhagavatam verses, he became attracted. He came and sat down in that assembly, like all of us are sitting. Suddenly somebody will come and sit in that Bhagavatam class. And when he heard that verses which glorify the Supreme Lord, Srivas Pandit went into ecstasy. He lost external consciousness and he started making sounds in ecstatic way. Like suddenly somebody will come and పొనకం పట్టినట్టు ఇక్కడ చేస్తుంటారు, సౌండ్లు చేస్తుంటారు. సో మనకేమనిపిస్తుంది? ఐ థింక్ దే ఆర్ ఫేకింగ్ ఆర్ ఇమిటేటింగ్ సంథింగ్ వీ ఫీల్. So we don't know whether it is by natural which is has come or it is something artificial which they are trying to imitate. So the students who are all there, they thought this person is making sounds, it is becoming disturbing for us to concentrate on Bhagavatam. So they could not understand the devotional ecstasy of the devotee. So they thought this person has a nuisance for us. So all of them decided, they lifted him by his hands and legs and went and put him outside the road. And they came back and sat in the class. The guru who was sitting from the Vyasasana, who was seeing Devanand Pandit, he did not condemn the process. He was simply silent. Means he has approved the process what has been done by the Shishyas. After some time, when Srivas Pandit, when he came to external consciousness, when he saw outside the road, he became very embarrassed, he felt very shamed, and he went back feeling disturbed. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he understood the principle, then he became very much angry. So because a teacher is responsible for the behavior of the students, Devanand Pandit saw what his students did and did nothing to stop them. He was responsible for this Vaishnava Aparadha. And because of his offense to Srivas, many years later, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu revealed his pastimes of Sankirtan in Navadvipa, Devananda he could not appreciate Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He always disregarded Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. One day Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was walking with his associates in that area where Devanand Pandit is staying. That area is called as Kulia. At that time, Devanand Pandit was reciting Srimad Bhagavatam, and he was giving his academic and scholarly lecture on Bhagavatam. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard this, he became very angry. He said, "Who is that rascal who is speaking Srimad Bhagavatam? Srimad Bhagavatam is only devotional service to Lord Krishna. There is nothing second point in Srimad Bhagavatam. And every word, every sound, whatever comes is only devotional service in that Srimad Bhagavatam. And this rascal has no right to speak Srimad Bhagavatam. At this very moment, I'll stop this rascal. I'll rip his Bhagavatam apart." And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu started running towards inside his ashrama. Then the other devotees stopped him and pacified him and took him back home. Then some days later, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was walking with Srivas Pandit, on the road they came across Devanand Pandit was passing by. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went up to him and scolded him by these verses. Chaitanya Bhagavata says, "Hey bhetara Bhagavata kon adhikara, Grantha Rupe Bhagavata Krishna Avatara." He said, "What qualification do you have to speak on Srimad Bhagavatam? Srimad Bhagavatam is an incarnation of the Supreme Lord in the form of a book. Sabe Purushartha Bhakti Bhagavata Haya, Prema Rupa Bhagavata Chara Vedikaya." So in Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhakti is described as the ultimate goal of life. And the four Vedas declare Bhagavatam is the manifestation of Prema Bhakti, ecstatic love. Chari Veda Dhadi Bhagavata Navanita. All the four Vedas are considered like curds. Then butter is Srimad Bhagavatam. Mitilena Shuke Kailena Parikshita. And it was churned by Shukadev Goswami and it was eaten by Parikshit Maharaj. Mora Priya Shuka se Janena Bhagavata, Bhagavata Kahe Mora Tattva Abhimata. So my dear Shukadeva, he knows the purport of Srimad Bhagavatam, which describes the signs of my glories and my position. Muni Mora Dasa Ara Grantha Bhagavata Yara Beda Ache Tara Nashe Balamate. So anyone who discriminates me, my servant, and the book Bhagavatam is certainly destroyed. Bhakti Vinu Bhagavata Ye Ara Vakhane Prabhu Bole Se Adama Kichu Na Jane. If anybody explains in Srimad Bhagavatam other than Bhakti, the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that rascal does not know anything. Niravadi Bhakti Hina Ei Beta Vakhane Aji Punta Chiriba Dekaha Vidyamane. This fellow never mentions but devotional service in his explanation. Watch how I tear his book today. Mahachintya Bhagavata Sarvashastra Gaya Ihana bhujiya vidyatapa pratishtaya. All scriptures glorify Srimad Bhagavatam as the most sublime literature. Yet, this cannot be understood by one's mere education, austerity, or fame. Bhagavata bujhi hai na yara ache jnana, se na jane kabu bhagavatera pramana. One who thinks I understood Bhagavatam actually does not know the conclusion of Bhagavatam. Bhagavate achintya ishvara buddhi yara, se janaye bhagavata arda bhakti sara. One who accepts Srimad Bhagavatam as the inconceivable Supreme Lord knows that pure bhakti is the purport of Srimad Bhagavatam. So, this is what Bhishma is also saying. Bhakti is the essence. So, we have to practice this bhakti devotional service. Like further Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains, one eats food in order to be satisfied, but day and night you are reciting Bhagavatam, but you are experiencing no devotion in your body, no love for Krishna, and no real happiness. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu walked away. So Devanand Pandit became embarrassed. He could not understand. He just went on to be the foremost speaker of Srimad Bhagavatam in that area, but without any devotional perspectives. After Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took sannyasa and he went away to Jagannath Puri, few years later Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was passing through Bengal on his way to Vrindavan. So when he came to this time, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in very compassionate mode. He is trying to forgive all those people who had offended him earlier. So without forgiveness, they will not be able to accept devotion, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is now in the mood of making everybody devotees. There was one person who had offended Shiva's Pandit Gopal Chapal. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu earlier rejected him. He said there is no deliverance for you for lifetimes. But this time when he came, when he fell down at the feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw the humility in him, the change of heart in him. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu blessed him. See, I cannot undo whatever you have done. It has to be undo by the person whom you have offended. So unless you go and take shelter of Shiva's Pandit, you cannot be overdone, or you cannot be removed from this leprosy, or you cannot be cured from this disease. So Gopal Chapal goes and touches feet of Shiva's Pandit, and as soon as Shiva's Pandit embraces him, all his leprosy is gone. So by seeing all these things, Devanand Pandit now could understand, okay, something problem is there, so I have to also reveal and I have to also get blessings. So by the mercy of the Lord, one of the associates of Lord Chaitanya by name Rakreshwar Pandit, one day when he was passing by that area, he came to the ashram of Devanand Pandit. And when there was kirtan happening, Vakreshwara was chanting, dancing, and in that ecstasy. So he came there, and Devananda was associating with him, and Devananda was serving him. So he could give the personal service to Vakreshwar Pandit. And by his association, slowly, his heart transformed. He was appreciating devotional service. He was getting perspective or closeness to bhakti. So by his sincere service, to Vaishnava, he gained affinity towards the Supreme Lord. He gained affinity towards devotional service. After some time again, Vakreshwar Pandit had a chance to opportunity to meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this time Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, because you have served my devotee, who is devotional service personified, and by his association, by his service, you got rid of the offense of Vaishnava Aparada earlier, and now you have the opportunity to associate and to understand Bhagavatam. So by the blessings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he became a great devotee in Bhagavatam. So point is, the devotional service is the only essence of Bhagavatam. And when we are practicing bhakti, there are practicalities what we have to see, how we should not offend devotees by our words or mind or by our actions. Because whatever we do in an offensive attitude, it stalls our bhakti. We will not be able to proceed further. So Bhishma Deva was encouraging others and all for us in his teachings to Yudhishthira, how devotional service is best. Now the further points will be described in the further verses. I will stop here. Any questions or doubts? No, he is trying to teach him a lesson so that he will not speak on further Bhagavatam. Not that he is disrespecting Bhagavatam. But that person is not qualified. He is trying to threaten him. Only when we are threatened, we will come to our senses. Like when we were children, how mothers used to control us, how they used to put us under system. One slap will come under control. Whatever we do will be set right. So no counseling, nothing and all will work. One slap, one slipper, or one broomstick will come under control. So here, for a devotee's perspective, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that threatening words, then only will come under control. Okay, we'll stop here. Grandhara Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki, Jai Gaur Premanand.
శ్రీకృష్ణుణ్ణి చేరుకోవడానికి, కృష్ణ భక్తిని అందరికీ అందించటానికి బృందావనం వైపు ఉరకలేస్తున్న యమునోత్రి. విష్ణుపాదమే తన పుట్టినిల్లుగా కైలాసం చేరుకోవడానికి పరుగులు తీస్తున్న గంగోత్రి. కురుక్షేత్ర ఘోరహత్యా పాపం శంకరుణ్ణి శాంతపరచడం లక్ష్యంగా పాండవులు నిర్మించిన కేదార్నాథ్. సమస్త సాధు పుంగవులకు, ఋషులకు, ఆధ్యాత్మిక సాధనకు స్ఫూర్తినిచ్చే నరనారాయణులను నడయాడిన ప్రదేశం బద్రీనాథ్.
హరే కృష్ణ గోల్డెన్ టెంపుల్ వారి మరో అపురూప కానుక హరే కృష్ణవాణి ఆధ్యాత్మిక మాసపత్రిక. ఇప్పుడు మొబైల్ యాప్ ద్వారా కూడా సులభంగా పత్రికలు చదువుకునే సౌకర్యం, వార్షిక సభ్యత్వం, భగవద్గీత, భాగవత ప్రవచనాలు, స్ఫూర్తి సందేశాలు, ఇంకా మరెన్నో సదుపాయాలతో హరే కృష్ణవాణి మొబైల్ యాప్ నేడే డౌన్లోడ్ చేసుకోండి. మరిన్ని వివరాల కోసం కాల్ చేయండి 9133107700.